in a playlist of God to his justice section. If he was dealing with the civil rights or the injustice of humanity, he would have Psalms 94, Psalms 11, that simply states, when the foundations of law and order have been destroyed, where do the righteous look? And then that Psalms 37, where he tells us to fret not thyself for evildoers, for like the green grass they'll wither away and die, where he deals with the injustice of mankind and how mankind unjustly treats men. You find this Psalms 94. However, 17 and 18 and 19 just seems as if it's out of context with the remainder of this psalm until you understand what the psalmist is really suggesting. What the psalmist is doing is he's giving us his desire, the lamenting, the description of how the wicked are acting, the appeal, and the offer directly to the wicked for their self-correction, while finally bring us into the confidence of how God, if you don't self-correct yourself, will correct you. And then he gets into the expression of how the psalmist has total trust and certainty that the Lord will finally bring judgment against those that he has to self-correct while self-correcting them. Verses 1 through 3 is the psalmist's urgent concern that the righteous are being oppressed and the wicked are prospering due to their oppression against the righteous. And it looks as if at times, by the time we start verse 1, as if God simply doesn't care that the wicked are prospering and the righteous are suffering. It's almost as if God has now ignored the pain of those who are righteous and have lumped the righteous with the unrighteous. And in the setting, it seems as if that one plague has now not just hit those who the righteous feel like it deserves to hit, but it's almost as if a pandemic has linked all at one. And it really doesn't matter if you are just or unjust. It seems as everyone suffers the exact same punishment. Just to get to this 17th verse, what we'll get to in a second, where those who are righteous really discover that they're not righteous, they're self-righteous. And the penalty and the punishment that are due to the unjust, really the self-righteous understands that really they are part of the unjust. Because if it wasn't for a just God that sent a just Jesus to come and die a just death, then the justice of the unjust would not serve for justice for the just. And then there would be no simple place for us to execute justice or to see the hand of God in the midst of justice, or as we call injustice. I mean, the reality, I don't know, I can't. That was something the Holy Spirit dropped. I can't repeat that one. It is right then, really, Mill, that the psalmist has looked at the scope of humanity and noticed the injustice in the hands of unjust men towards righteous people. And he probably would notice that you can get trumped out of a White House, but that really doesn't mean that the honest Joe is really as honest as he says that he was when he was running. Probably would understand that even Joe's will be inconsistent to the very principles of this flawed democracy of these yet to be United States. He probably noticed how at the nation's capital on two separate occasions, one group is labeled patriots at an insurrection while others are labeled terrorists at a demonstration. You probably noticed injustice. We noticed that at the conclusion of that year, it's odd that one man was criticized for 5 years straight for taking a knee to a flag, while a whole set of people can take the color of the flag and paint it blue and be celebrated while one man is criticized. You probably noticed that the same virus that those in power thought they had control of proved that their hands were not big enough to handle a God problem. You probably noticed at the conclusion of the year that the rich were profiting off of the poor, or how in certain sections of society they were isolated on lonely islands of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. And he, just as a master would do 2,000 years later, would right before a religious holiday, right before he had discovered that there was inflated gas prices in the hoods and overpriced eggs and milks in the ghettos, and the absence of banks and credit unions, while there was a presence of check and payday and lending stores in lower income communities, yet there is an overemphasis on the transfer of dollars to electronic transactions and little bitty coins to bitcoins. One man noticed that justice had yet to be served. Maybe he noticed that the price of gas was so high that only a certain amount of society could afford an electric car. But the group of individuals who could barely afford the old gas car that they had been outpriced at the gas station on Fresno Street, where less people had cars, and the cars that they had demanded more gas. Maybe if Jesus was present, he probably would have walked into most churches and cleared the bad boys out, because there was an absence of a voice of justice, but a presence of profiting off of the silence of the church. It is in that consideration that this author, struggling with the visual presence of injustice, gets to the conclusion of his year and raises this question and fails to answer it, yet gives a powerful statement in the presence of the absence of the answer. And with no money, no job, no gas, prices high, friends that are fake, but COVID that is real, I believe he would say these words at the conclusion: I really don't know how I made it, but I survived. And today, ladies and gentlemen, just for a brief moment, I would dare like to jump into the seat of a teacher or a presenter. As a matter of fact, if you would allow me to, I would like to chauffeur you around and drive backwards through the year while driving backwards through this text. And if you wouldn't mind, at the conclusion, I would dare like to have a praise party. And if you would, listen to me as I borrow a line from an old African proverb. Hey, come on, take a ride. It's a party over here, there ain't no jive. It's live and it's live, it's all the way live. Don't even have to walk. You don't even have to drive. And if you would dare hop into this old school Cadillac with a diamond in the back and a sunroof top, I would dare like to answer this author's question of I don't know how I survived by giving you an answer that is directly found in Scripture. Because this text gives us a clear answer on how we survived this year. And as this year comes to a conclusion, how about we walk backwards through this text? We'll start at verse 19 and conclude at verse 17. And each stanza we'll walk backwards through. Verse 19, backwards, makes this text stand out even more. Y'all looking at it? 19 backwards says, your comfort brought me joy when I was filled with anxiety. Here's how I survived. Number one, I survived because he covered me mentally. Am I talking to anybody? Understand that when the text is saying he covered me mentally, what the author is saying is he covered my mind. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? It means that his hand was on my mind. Y'all gonna shout on this one. What he's saying is this year, I almost mentally checked out. He's saying, watch this, your comfort, the word comfort in the Hebrew is a psychological comfort after a trauma. What he says is, I almost checked out because I can't even remember what the initial cause of my trauma was. And I have been so stuck in that pain that I don't even remember when the pain started. I just know there was a point where I almost checked out. It is typically when this trauma hits, it's a highlight when the comfort hits, which means there is hope that in the future things will get better. What he's saying in the text is not I almost checked out. What he's saying is I did check out. And when I checked out, God checked me back in. I wish I had somebody that would help. Y'all ain't caught it. Okay, what we say is I almost checked out. When we say I almost checked out, what that means is that I had the power to check myself back in. But can I explain something to you? When anxiety hits you, it means that you checked out. And the reason why you didn't die is because somebody held your mind and checked you back in. Oh, y'all looking at me like, duh. Okay, watch this, Rach. There was a couple of years ago, I went to Louisiana to preach. You remember this, Brother Casey? In Louisiana, where I preached at, was around Lake Charles. It's the country. I was checked into an inn, not a hotel, not a motel, not a Holiday Inn. It was an inn. It was surrounded by woods, and it was surrounded by sounds I never heard in my life. There were no street lights and no reception. I was scheduled to preach on a Sunday. I flew in on a Thursday. By Friday, I checked out the hotel, and I was heading back to New Orleans to get on a plane to head back to Fresno. When I got in New Orleans, my reception finally kicked in. I got a call from Shanae, who at the time was the secretary. When I picked up the phone, Shanae was going off. She said, "What in the bleep bleep are you doing?" I said, "Shanae, what you talking about?" She said, "I got a notification that you checked out of your hotel." I said, "Correction, it ain't no hotel. It's an inn." She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Shanae, I can't do it. I'm nervous and I'm a little bit scared. I can't sleep. I don't understand these noises. And I think I've been bit more times by mosquitoes than the 70s exploration films was bit by Blackula." I said, "I'm ready to come home." Shanae said, "You cannot go home." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because your plane does not leave until Sunday." I said, "What you mean?" She said, "You can't go home until you complete your job." I said, "But Shanae, I can't go back to the inn because I've already checked out." She said, "What you don't understand is that you didn't check yourself into the hotel. I registered you and I checked you in. And when I saw that you checked out, I just checked you back in because I knew that you was tripping and you needed to get," y'all don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, so y'all can wake up and smell the Kool-Aid, is this year alone, there has been some stuff that caused you to check out prematurely. There has been people that got on your nerves. There's been jobs that had you tripping. There's been bills that you couldn't pay. And there were times in this year alone that anxiety and depression had you check out. But can I get a shout real quick? That the moment you checked out, God said it ain't time for you to come home yet because your job is not finished yet, and God checked you back in. Do I have a witness in here? Do I have just 5 people that can look at somebody next to them and tell them, "Don't look at me crazy"? Tell them, "I'm not the only one this year that almost lost my mind. I'm not the only person this year that almost checked out. I'm not the only person this year that sunk into depression, that had anxiety, that couldn't sleep at night, that contemplated suicide, contemplated walking out on my family, contemplated walking out on ministry, contemplated walking out on life. I checked out." But can I have 5 people that can say, "Thank God, when I checked out, God checked me back in"? Watch, this really gonna make you. You wanna know how he did it? He says, "Your comfort brought me joy." That word comfort means there was hope. It means that in the midst of all the darkness, God just opened up a little bit of the blinds to show me that even though it's dark on the inside, God's still shining on the outside. That word brought in the Hebrew means smeared. It means that God allowed his comfort or his sunshine to smear over your anxiety and depression. It means, watch this, that your problem didn't go anywhere. It just God got on top of your problem. I wish I had somebody. Y'all don't understand what I just said? Let me say it again. It means that which you was tripping about didn't go away. It's just that God got on top of it and he covered it so you couldn't see it. Am I preaching to anybody? That's why some of the people you had problems with, you don't even see them no more. Some of the issues you used to have, and some of y'all can't shout over it because you still mad at people. Instead of being mad at them, maybe you should send them a thank you because they allowed you to see that God is bigger than them, bigger than problems, bigger than your job. You walking into your job right now still mad at somebody that has already been fired. Don't you understand that God took care of your problem and smeared it? So when I was filled with anxiety, the word anxiety means divided thoughts. It's like a tree that divides at the branch, and it's a multitude of thoughts and opinions. That's what anxiety is. Some of y'all are like, I don't deal with anxiety. Let me tell you what anxiety is. Anxiety is when I felt like I could fix it, and thoughts were running through my head, but I didn't know how I could. Anxiety is when you sit at the stop sign waiting for it to change green. Anxiety is when you pull in the driveway and have to convince yourself to get out the car. I wish I could have some. Anxiety is when you wake up too early in the morning and are confused because you went to sleep too late. Anxiety is when you wake up at 3 a.m. and think you've slept for 8 hours, but at 3 a.m. you can't go back to sleep till 6 a.m. and you got to be up by 7 a.m. Anxiety is when you answer the phone when the oven timer goes off. Anxiety is when you have to manipulate your mind just to go to sleep. Anxiety is when everybody else is happy and there's nothing wrong, but you just sit there and are worried about stuff and you don't even know what you're worried about. Anxiety is when everyone loved me, but I still felt unloved. Anxiety is when you're in a room full of people and you still feel by yourself. Anxiety is when you're trying to fix something that you didn't even break and you're more worried about it than the people that broke it. Anxiety is when you can't rest because you're worried about other people that ain't worried about you. And you can't forgive them, and they've moved on with them. Am I preaching to anybody? Can you do me a favor? Can you look at somebody and tell them he's preaching to me? Can I tell you anxiety will have you check out? But please understand something, that when you can't fix it, here's who you turn it over to. Yesterday, Cam, we got Riley an iPod. We told her it was an iPhone. When she got the iPod, she went to Faith and Ellie to try to get them to connect it. Faith and Ellie are very intelligent with the internet, but they reached a point where I heard Faith tell Riley, stop crying and take it to Daddy. When I heard her say it, Mama, I acted like I was busy. Because I just love when my kids and my wife can't fix something, but they know Daddy can fix it. When Riley brought it to me, I said something to Riley. I said, what took you so long? You were trying to take the problem to somebody that needed me to connect their iPod in order for it to work. You were taking your problem to the wrong person. And when you took it to the wrong person, they gave you more problems. But when you put it in the hands of the problem solver, Jackie, I'm going to preach real quick. Can I just preach for a second? And the problem is this year, sir, we've been taking our problems to the wrong people and wondering why our problems ain't been solved. You've been taking your problems to Facebook and telling Facebook about your problems and thinking that because you have likes and comments that they're going to fix your problems. You've been snapping about it. You've been tweeting about it. Some of y'all even been on MySpace trying to MySpace about it. But when you take your problems to the problem solver and you stop worrying about other people and you put it in the hands of Jesus, I guarantee you he'll take your problem and he'll fix the problem. Do I have anybody in here that can look at somebody and tell them this year I turned it over to Jesus and I stopped worrying about it and I discovered that weeping may endure for a night, but joy. Okay, number one, he covers me mentally. Number two, this year he held me physically. Look at verse number 18. Watch this, B. Backwards. Your mercy, Lord, supported me when I thought my foot is slipping. I'm going to say it again. Your mercy, Lord, supported me when I thought my foot was slipping. This going to make somebody want to holler. Watch this. He says, physically, I almost checked in, meaning physically, I almost checked into hell, but the Lord grabbed me. What he's saying is this year, there were some things I know I shouldn't have done. There were some places I know I shouldn't have went. And the only reason why I didn't get there is not because I convinced myself not to go and not to do it. It was because when I was walking out, he grabbed me back in. Okay, y'all ain't caught. All right, this, you made that, okay. Watch what he says. He says, your mercy, Lord. He purposely uses these words to reiterate whose mercy. He says, Lord, your mercy, not my mercy. He says, your mercy. The idea that he is using is that it's not that I have it, it's that I have him and he has it. What he is saying is I am shouting not because I have mercy, but because I have the Lord. What he's saying in the text, Roz, is this year I've done so much stuff that now at the conclusion of my year, I am looking back and I'm saying to God, Lord, you're really still there? Y'all ain't caught it because y'all thought I over-spiritualized. He's saying, watch this, I've messed up so much this year that I'm looking back and I'm saying, God, really, after all the mess that I'm doing, you're really still with me. I've jacked up on my thoughts and my actions, and I'm shocked because if I would have stayed with somebody else, folks would have thought I'm crazy. But after all that I've done, God, you really stood by my side? Like you're really still there? Okay, y'all ain't caught it. Okay, let me explain why God stayed by you despite what you were doing. It's because the word mercy in the Hebrew is translated to the word favor. It's stuff that you don't deserve, you just got. It doesn't mean you earned it, doesn't mean you worked for it, doesn't mean you raffled or you shuck and jived in order to get it. Either you got favor or you don't. Favor will have you shop at places like Burlington Coat Factory and you'll rock it and people think you got it from Neiman Marcus. Favor will have you walk down the street and people will speak to you and them the same people that really don't like you. Favor will have you walk onto a car lot and with no credit or jacked up credit and you'll walk off the lot with the car that you can't. Favor will have you get the job that you're not qualified for, and other people were overqualified for it, but you got it not because you had qualifications, but because you had more God. Facebook will have you get somebody that you know you don't deserve, and every time you wake up in the morning, you look at her and you think about all the stuff that you've done before you met her, and you say, thank God for favor. Do I have a witness in here? Do I have 5 people that can high five somebody and tell them, baby, it ain't me, it's because I got favor. It's not because I look good, not because I've acted good. The house that I got, that's called favor. The wife that I have, that's called favor. The husband I got, that's called favor. The reason why I'm not crazy, it's called favor. The reason why I'm not drunk, it's called favor. I've been messed up, toe up from the floor up, jacked up, couldn't get up, but God had favor over my life. And some of y'all ain't shouting because you don't understand what favor is. If you can inhale and exhale, that means you have abundant, ridiculous, unmerited favor. You know what favor is? Favor have you work around people that's COVID positive and you not contracted, or favor have you contract COVID and not even know you got it. That's called favor. Do I have a witness? I need 5 people to high five somebody and tell them I got favor. Some of y'all bought more Christmas gifts this year than you bought in any other year, and you ain't got no job, or you got less money than you ever had, and you still have money in your bank account. That's called favor. Some of y'all got EBT cards with $2,000 on them, and you got rich folk that don't even have food in their refrigerator. Baby, it's called favor. What he's saying is your favor, O Lord, held me if. That word if, watch this, supported me. So he's saying, Lord, your favor supported me. There it is. Yeah. Your favor supported me. It's the idea that, Lord, not only, watch this, did you hold me up, but you was my crutch. Watch it. Wait. Now I get it. I understand it now. Bernard, come here real quick. I understand. Come here. I understand it. He says, Lord, get on my right side. He says, Lord, your favor became my crutch. Watch this. Now I need you to walk forward. Meaning that when I walked into my purpose, it wasn't me that walked in. It was your favor. And there's people that's mad at me because I've been blessed. What they don't understand is this year, I don't know how I got blessed. I don't know how God sustained me. Don't know how God did it. I'm just walking in his favor. Y'all don't hear me in here. Do I have a witness? Do I have anybody that can look at somebody and tell them, don't hate the player, hate the game? It ain't me. It's his favor. I don't deserve it. I didn't do it. It's his favor. Yes, I graduated from college. Yes, I'm a single mother. Yes, I got kids. It's called favor. Do I have a witness? Do I have anybody that can shout over his